Hey Yardy friends, I am here with my last constructive figure drawing demonstration. Today I'm going to be drawing Rowan, Kara's father, from my comic 7-inch Kara. So by the end of this demonstration, you will have learned how to draw a gender neutral character, you will have learned how to draw a female character, and you will have learned how to draw a male character. I highly recommend you guys take the time, practice from reference, and develop your own style of drawing. So we again begin with a rectangle. This time our rectangle is broader across the top than it is across the bottom, and we sketch in the same egg shape for the rib cage as an oblong for the pelvis. We also add in the wheels or axles that indicate the pelvis as well. And I sketch in sticks for the neck, arms, and legs. And this method comes from Andrew Loomis's Figure Drawing for All It's Worth, which I highly recommend. And again, this is just one method of figure construction that I developed from years of figure practice. I highly encourage you to go out and find your own, read books, and seek tutorials. So I am adding another layer of paper, of tracing paper on top of this. This is so that we can develop our next stage of the sketch. Normally I would do this all on one sheet of paper, but I do want to demonstrate the different layers. So since it's a little bit hard to see underneath the tracing paper, I'm just reestablishing my original stick figure. I want you guys to note that I have his hand up in a wave. These stick figures are great for quickly capturing gestural ideas so that you're not bogged down in trying to draw details before you've even figured out what gesture you want. This is also a great way to establish proportions. So I am using cylinders to flesh out the neck, arms, and legs. And you guys will notice that I taper my cylinders as they go into the knee and then into the ankle. They also taper as they go into the elbow and then into the wrist. And this is just something I kind of discovered as I was doing hundreds of figure drawing practices. Again, I cannot iterate this enough. The more you practice from reference, the more you're going to develop your own style of drawing. And one area I need to go back and spend a lot of time practicing is drawing muscular male figures. That if you don't use it, you lose it, and the things you draw the most are going to be the things that come easiest to you. So since I seem to be struggling with that here, that is definitely an area I need to revisit. And there's lots of great resources for both clothed figures and nude figures that I can turn to for help with this. I can try Croquis Cafe here on YouTube, I can try Line of Action, and I can try Senshi Stock. So this is my basic fleshed out character pose. This could be useful for lots of different male characters. It is not yet specifically Rowan. I put another piece of tracing paper on top, and at this stage we're going to start developing his clothing, and we're also going to start developing his face. So this time you guys can actually see what I'm doing. I start with a circle, I kind of square it off on the sides, and I add a crosshair across his face, dividing his face in half lengthwise and heightwise. I use my 3-eye technique that I've mentioned in the other two videos to place his eyes, and I put in a triangle for his nose. Most noses are based along triangular shapes, so this is a great starting point if you struggle with noses. I also sketch in his ears, and I use a little oval shape to indicate where his chin is going to be. The circles around his eyes are a technique I picked up from reading Drawn to Life Volume 1 and 2 by Walt Stanchfield, which I highly recommend you guys read as well. Drawing is a lifelong practice that you can continue to hone, and I'm always learning new tips and tricks, new ways of drawing things from other artists. So I highly recommend, if you want to get better at drawing, read the kind of books, read the kind of comics that have art that you like. Also sketching in his beard and hair. It feels a little bit silly sketching him in pink, but pink is easier for my camera to pick up. My camera really struggles with the non-photo blue that I usually use for these underdrawings. Now that I have his head sketched in, I'm going to start drawing in his clothing. And again, you want the clothing to sit on top of the figure. Now, for some reason, I am really having a hard time drawing Rowan's clothes in this illustration. I think it's because I was recording this pretty late after a stream and I was just exhausted. But there's a lot of problems with his clothing in this illustration. So what I want you guys to take from this is practice drawing clothing from reference and practice drawing folds from reference. During one of my recent power hours, someone requested that I do a fold drawing demonstration, and I thought what might be most helpful for me and for them is rather than just a demonstration, we pull up some reference and we walk through drawing clothing together so everyone learns and everybody gets a chance to practice. And looking at me drawing this, I can see that that is definitely necessary. So when you're doing your figure drawing, I do normally recommend you start with figures that are not overly obscured by folds in their clothing. So drawing dancers, drawing people doing yoga, those are great. But it's clear that I need to practice drawing men just wearing normal clothing a little bit more. And I mention that because I want you guys to know that I'm aware that I have room to grow, so that you guys are comfortable knowing that everyone has room to grow. Let's all grow together. I'm also drawing him barefoot, since that is an area that a lot of people have trouble drawing feet. And I find that just practicing drawing characters barefoot helps a lot. And you guys will also notice that I gestured in his hands using kind of the mitten approach I talked about when drawing Kara and Meldina. Alright, so that is my basic underdrawing completed. Next, I am going to use graphite to tighten everything up. You can also use ink. This is really just sort of your final stage. Now, if I had done this all on one sheet of paper, which is what I would normally do, when I scan it, I can drop the pink or I can drop the blue in Photoshop using going to grayscale and then going to hue saturation, going to contrast. And I have tutorials over at natosoup.blogspot.com for how you can do that if you're interested in sort of traditional drawing and traditional comic techniques. So this stage is really just all about tightening up, kind of capturing the character in graphite, because I already did all that drawing in pink. So this is about those final details. And I'm using my fingers to hold down the tracing paper so that you guys can see the pink underdrawing, so you can kind of see what I mean when I'm talking about doing this in layers. If you were doing this in Photoshop, it would be very similar. You can do every stage of your sketch if you wish on a different layer, then do your inking on a final layer, and then turn off the visibility on all of those prior layers. I think the same would work for Clip Studio Paint or Metabang Paint as well. So basically any drawing application with layers, this is applicable to that. And as I mentioned in the Kara video and in the Meldina video, it's important to draw the seams on the clothing. This helps you place, it gives the figure more form, it makes it look more three-dimensional and less two-dimensional. It also kind of explains the clothing, which is important for 7-inch Kara characters since they're Lilliputian. I include details like, for example, his shirt is held shut by seed beads rather than by buttons. So adding those sort of details gives an element of scale that isn't intrusive to the reader, but does remind the reader that we're kind of living life at a different scale here. And an area I'd like to start studying is actually men's fashion illustration, because I feel like that is a good area for me to study when drawing men's clothes, because they're drawn beautifully, they're drawn elegantly, but there's still an economy of line. So you guys can see I've drawn the seams on his pants, as well as the little wrinkle, sort of like the pants break where it hits his feet. And that gives an indication of a change in plane. So thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you guys again.